Hello, I'm Charlie, Gotthold Ephraim Lessing, and I'm delighted that Mr. Sommer is going to enlighten you about my old play Nathan the Wise today. Fantastic, this internet video stuff, everyone gets so enlightened. Just one thing in advance. All religious caricatures cropping up in the play are my invention, copyright 200 years ago, so if you don't like them, why don't you try to kill me? But now to business and watch your enlightenment. You are listening to a broadcast by Vatican Radio. Cheers, Mr. Lessing. And this is today's cast. Nathan, a rich Jew from Jerusalem. As you can see, he's a businessman and sitting behind the wheel of his camel more often than on his couch at home, which is occupied by Recha, his adopted daughter in the most difficult phase of puberty. Saladin, with an S and without magic lantern, is a historical figure, namely the Sultan of Jerusalem. He's got a large family, but in this play only his sister Sita appears on stage. Daya is a Christian, which is why she's working as a watchdog and housekeeper for Nathan's wife being dead. A young knight Templar. The members of this species were a crossbreed between monks and soldiers, Christian mujahideen if you like. Astonishingly, they were allowed to travel to Syria at the time. Al-Khafi is a dervish, which is a kind of Muslim begging monk. And correspondingly, there's a Christian friar who obviously wants to join the local Hells Angels branch. Finally, we have the Patriarch of Jerusalem, a completely innocent character, which is why he's dressed all in white in our production. It is a few years to 1200, and there's a religious war raging in the Middle East. Hard to imagine nowadays, isn't it? What never-ending religious wars they had then. First, the Christians captured Jerusalem in the crusade, but some time ago the Muslims under their leader Saladin won it back off them. At the moment there's a truce in place, and by contrast to the Crusaders who ruled Jerusalem before him, Saladin is quite a nice guy, because all the Christians and Jews in the city are actually allowed to keep their heads on. Yet peace is brittle. As Lessing wrote his play with students, and especially professors of literature in mind, it consists of 5 acts and corresponds perfectly to the classical structure of drama. Act 1, in which several people go on each other's nerves. Nathan returns home from a business trip and finds his house burnt down. He's nonetheless quite cheerful and addresses his ladies. Didn't I say something about being careful with the gas oven? And Recha goes, "Daddy, Daddy, an angel saved me." An angel? Well, it was actually a Knight Templar. A Knight Templar? Have the Christians captured Jerusalem again? No, he's the only one in the city. He's been pardoned by Saladin because of his likeness to Saladin's brother. Aha, and what do we say if we get saved? "Thank you, but he didn't want to talk to me." And off she goes, as well as Daya. And Al-Hafi is walking down the road. "Oh, hi Al-Hafi, what a very nice bandage you're wearing." "This is my official turban, I'm Saladin's treasurer now." "Oh, and I thought you were a begging monk." Well, that's the same thing, he ain't got any money either." "Don't you want to lend him some? You could take any interest you want." No, I really never lend out anything." "I can go right back to the desert then." And he leaves, and Nathan does too. And we see the Knight Templar sneaking around Nathan's ruin of a house, being approached by the friar. "Here, man, you're unemployed, aren't you? I got a job for you." "Like what?" "Well, being a Christian fundamentalist, the Patriarch thought you might want to assassinate the Sultan." "But he saved my life." Go away and don't make me puke." So the friar leaves, but Daya walks up to the knight. "Mr. Knight Templar?" "Shelve it." And we get to the second act, in which several people are fleeing from each other. We meet the Sultan family at home because Saladin and his sister are sitting at a game of chess. But he's distracted, he's mentally wandering off and always thinking about the war. And so she goes, "Are we playing or are you watching your mental cinema?" And he goes, "Okay, you win." "But I didn't." "Yes, you do. Al-Hafi," he calls his finance manager, "here, pay 1,000 to Sita." And because of the game of chess. "Yes, but she didn't win." "Shut it, will you, the two of you? I'm the boss around here." But Al-Hafi is now fed up with this and goes, "No." "Excuse me?" "You're broke, and Sita has been paying the gas bill for quite a while now." And Sita is not amused by Al-Hafi blaring out their common secret, and Saladin goes, "What?" And she replies, "Brother, don't worry, we can always get a credit." And because she wants it back from Al-Hafi, she says, "Al-Hafi, you've got this friend, this Jew, don't you?" "What? Why don't you get us some money off him?" And Al-Hafi is suddenly quite in a hurry. In the meantime, Nathan has been running after the Knight Templar in order to thank him. And as always, the young man is being quite a dick. But Nathan says, "I could offer you a lot of money, you know." And the Knight Templar says, "To me, the richer Jew never seemed the better Jew." And Nathan just looks at him and says, "I don't buy it that you are the dick you are pretending to be." And the knight is stunned and he says, "Yes." And Nathan goes, "Okay, so, well, why don't we go to my place then?" When Daya comes running and says, "Nathan, you're wanted by the Sultan." The Knight Templar can't stand her. And Nathan says, "Okay, so the two of you go ahead. What's your name, by the way?" "Kurt von Stauffen." "Von Stauffen?" And they're off. And Al-Hafi comes running. "Nathan, watch out, the Sultan wants your money." You already told me that, remember?" "Yeah, but you'll never get it back now." "Don't matter, I haven't paid my income tax yet, so that's fine." "Well, then this is all stupid, I'm off to India," and he flees. And here comes Act 3, in which we can study two friendships coming into existence. At Nathan's place, all is still a bit chaotic and shabby, and we see the two ladies waiting for the Knight Templar. "And you be nice to him, and if he wants to marry you—" "Daya, I barely know the man. Stand back, will you?" Daya stands back and enter the Knight Templar. He takes one look at Rekha and is absolutely smitten by her, but she bitches around with him until, which he finds even greater, and a little deranged he tells her about his holiday in Egypt, and she goes all the time until he can't take it any longer and simply runs away. And Daya comes forward. "So how was it?" "Yeah, strange, you know." And Daya goes, "What?" And they go off. In the meantime, Nathan has arrived at the Sultan's palace. "Hello, Nathan." "Hello, Sultan. You want my money, don't you?" "No, I want to know which of the following three religions is the true one: Judaism, Islam, or Christianity." And off goes the Sultan. And Nathan thinks, gosh, he doesn't only want to disown me, but to imprison me as well. Because if I speak in favor of Islam now, he thinks I'm screwing him. And if not, if I speak in favor of Judaism and Christianity, he thinks I'm dissing him, so what to do now? And he calls the Sultan. "Here, Sultan!" And Saladin comes back. "Yeah?" "Here, you know the Lord of the Rings, don't you?" "Yeah?" "Now imagine Bilbo had had 3 favorite nephews instead of 1, and therefore had had 2 copies of the one ring made, and now he'd be dead and nobody would know which one was the real one." Okay, and then? "Then those 3 nephews wouldn't stop arguing and fighting whose was the real one, until Gandalf pounded on the table and said, 'Okay, now everybody take theirs to Mordor and show themselves worthy bearers of the burden, and then we'll see whose was the true one.' And so this hasn't happened yet, which is why they're always fighting each other about whose ring is the real one." "Ah," the Sultan goes, "that was cunning. That was a metaphor, wasn't it?" And Nathan goes, "Actually a simile, but yeah, not bad, Nathan, at all. In that case, I'll just take your money." "Phew, you're taking a load off me," and the Sultan exits. Nathan goes home, and on the way, the Knight Templar comes towards him. "Here, Nathan, I've been thinking, I will take your daughter as a reward for saving her." "Oh, I'd be thinking of a voucher of something." "No, that's no joke." "Aha, okay. Yeah, well, you got a certificate of good conduct? I knew a Kurt von Stauffen once, and—" "What? I'll be right back." Nathan is off. And the Knight Templar is absolutely disappointed. Daya comes and whispers in his ear that Rekha is only Nathan's adopted daughter and originally a Christian. So now we get into Act 4, which contains some discoveries. The Knight Templar is very pissed off and goes to see this very nice old gentleman, the Patriarch, and says, "Your Excellency, just supposing a Jew would raise a Christian adopted daughter as a Jewess, what would happen to him?" And the Patriarch goes, "Well, we'd invite him to a merry little bonfire." "Oh, yeah, maybe there's no need for that. I'll be on my way then." "No, that's not on. Who's this Jew you're talking about?" "Oh, you know, that was just—" "Burn at the stake! Burn at the stake! Now shut up or I'll tell the Sultan." But the Knight Templar does indeed go to see the Sultan and tells Saladin when he sees him, "Here, Nathan doesn't want to give me his daughter, even though she's really a Christian." "Well, that's not very nice of him, but it's amazing how similar you look to my brother." At Nathan's place, nothing much has changed. They're still not quite comfortable, and not only because of the fire, but because Daya is getting on Nathan's nerves. "Marriage, marriage! Oh, shut it, will you?" And off she goes, and instead the friar turns up. "Hello, Mr. Nathan." "Hello, friar. Sorry, didn't I deliver an adopted daughter to you some 18 years ago?" "Yes, that was right after the Christians had killed my wife and my 7 sons." Yeah, well, all I wanted to say is I happen to have kept the old address book of my former boss whose daughter she was. Here you go, see you around. And he hands over the address book and goes off. And it's Act 5 now, in which we witness a family reunion. The Knight Templar turns up and goes, Nathan, we're supposed to come to the Sultan's, but I wouldn't mind it if you gave me your daughter right away. Nope. What? And they go to the Sultan's place together, where everybody is now assembling. Saladin, Sita, as well as Recha, who they had brought here a little earlier. And when she sees the two men, she's running towards her adoptive father and goes, Daddy, Daddy, and the Knight Templar goes, Traitor. So Saladin approaches them and says, Here, Nathan, why don't you let her marry him? To which Nathan replies, You know, I wouldn't mind that, but we have to ask her brother first. I've got a brother? And the Knight Templar says, And who is the brother? You. What, me? Ah, I kissed my sister. That's astonishing. And Nathan goes, and that's not all, because the two of them are actually Assad's children. The Syrian dictator? No, it's not that bad. No, Assad was our brother, as a matter of fact. We are all one happy family. Isn't that great? Except for you, Nathan, but you can join in too if you want. And Sita approaches the Knight Templar and says, Give us a kiss. No, I don't kiss relatives. That's disgusting. And in the end, they do a very nice family photograph, and Nathan is allowed in too. Aren't they nice? Enter the author once more and goes, And they all lived happily ever after, until they died a terrible death in the next religious war, and history keeps repeating itself. You know, my best friend was a Jew, and I can only say, I wish I'd had more Muslims and fewer Christian fanatics around myself. Ah well, rings only get you into trouble.
Vielen Dank.